Let's talk about Bitcoin, not as a speculative asset, but as something much more foundational. If you've been watching the digital asset space evolve, you've probably seen all the noise around scalability, layer 2s, and altcoins that promise faster, cheaper. But quietly, in the background, Bitcoin's base layer, yes, the original layer 1, is becoming the gold standard for one very specific institutional need: settlement. Now, I get it. Settlement doesn't make headlines. It's not flashy, but if you're an institution, it's everything. It's the part of the financial system that says, this is done, this can't be reversed, this is real, and that's where Bitcoin stands alone. Why finality matters more than ever. In traditional finance, finality is propped up by trust. Legal systems, clearinghouses, intermediaries, SWIFT, FedWire, all that. But it's opaque, it's permissioned, and it's fragile when tested by global uncertainty or cyber risk. Bitcoin, it replaces that trust with math, with consensus. Once a transaction settles on Bitcoin's layer 1 and gets buried under a few more blocks, reversing it becomes practically impossible. You'd need to rewrite history across a decentralized global network. Good luck with that. That's what we call immutable finality, and it's why institutions, especially those moving large value across borders, are starting to take Bitcoin very seriously as a settlement layer. Why not Ethereum or something faster? It's a fair question. Ethereum has smart contracts, layer 2s have speed. But here's what institutions want: predictability, security, and a conservative base to build on. Bitcoin offers near perfect uptime. Since 2009, it's been reliably processing blocks every 10 minutes. No breaks, no resets. That's 15 years of performance that no centralized system can touch. It's also simple. And in security, simple is good. Bitcoin's scripting language is limited by design, which means fewer bugs, fewer attack vectors, and less room for error. And perhaps most importantly, Bitcoin isn't changing its core rules every few years. For institutions planning 5, 10, 20 years out, that kind of consistency is invaluable. Real use cases happening now. We're not talking hypotheticals here. Some firms are timestamping internal audit logs on Bitcoin using protocols like open timestamps. Others are settling intercompany transfers across borders. Even central banks are experimenting with Bitcoin for signaling foreign reserves. At Kenson, we've seen consulting firms, fund managers, and even compliance officers build around Bitcoin's permanence. Why? Because it removes a point of failure, because it creates an anchor of trust in a market that's often anything but. What institutions need to understand. Now, integrating Bitcoin isn't plug and play. There are governance questions, key management challenges, reconciliation workflows. It takes real operational readiness. That's where education comes in. And that's what we focus on here at Kenson. We're not here to push a product or make investment recommendations. We're here to provide clarity. We help institutions understand the infrastructure, the risks, and the pathways available so they can make informed, strategic decisions aligned with their mandates. Bitcoin as a hedge against centralization. At the end of the day, decentralization isn't just a technical feature, it's a business risk hedge. If you're operating in markets with unstable regimes or weak legal protections, Bitcoin's neutrality becomes a strategic asset. It doesn't care about borders, it doesn't care about politics, it's just math running on a global, permissionless network. Wrapping up. So here's the big idea. In a market chasing the next big thing, Bitcoin's layer 1 is emerging as the sober, resilient choice for institutions who don't just want innovation, they want trust, clarity, and control. At Kenson, we're here to support that shift, not by selling hype, but by sharing insight. Visit KensonInvestments.com to explore how Bitcoin's base layer can support your settlement needs and help you build a more resilient foundation for the future.